very excited about the move up. And frankly, a bunch of my time has well, a bunch. Some of my time has been allocated to my understanding of the four states of God. Look, the Lord of Liquidity sometimes talks to me about all kinds of different things. The Shams talk to me about all kinds of different things, which later on always ends up being some way I can make money. But for right now, that's what I care about: the four states of God. Four states of God. Oh, wait, I messaged this to you on Telegram a couple of weeks ago. God is none, God is one, God is all, God is many. And so God goes through these four states where you move from nothing. The act of creation from the nothing. God is nothing is the creation by implication. Then God of one turns into the God of all through, or the God as one has the ability of creation through intuition. That's that knowing. Then you have the God as all, which does creation through scintillation, which is dispersion, refraction, reflection, all the things we're normally used to. That very psychedelic, unity, that sort of state, that DMT state that people like, near-death experiences, that sort of thing. And then we have the God as many, which is creation by revelation, which is forgetting and remembering. That's the state that we live in right now, which is why I'm reading the 48 Laws of Power. That's a very good manual about creation within the revelation state. How do you manipulate others? How do you reveal things and distort things and lie and hide and disclose in order to create within the this fourth state that we're in?
And how does this help you with Bitcoin?
I don't know. So what happens is that the act of creation that happens within the state of many, the God as many, is or the proof of understanding is being able to predict things. If you could predict an outcome, like using the scientific method or through Machiavellian techniques or through trading, then you've gained a mastery over the act of creation that God has within this fourth state, which is revelation. And the chart has that. This what's going to happen in the future, which is this revelation, this discovery of what the chart would be, right? How many times people look at a chart retroactively and go, I should have seen this move. The setup was implied with what's going on. They just didn't interpret it properly. Expecto patronum, they didn't get it right. Accio chair, and it's like off. But if you get it right, then you get what is that luck potion from Harry Potter? Felix Felicis, whatever the hell it is. If you get it right, then you have this act of creation, and in our case, this act of prediction for the charts that's not odds related. You know what your outcome will be. And so I'm very interested in developing tools and understandings for charts that eventually allow us not to have guaranteed outcomes, basically with trading, which is what I would want.
Or near guarantee, because there's always uncertainty in the system.
No. So the mastery would be no uncertainty. That even the it not working is part of it working. And so there is no there's no uncertainty, there's no odds of it not working. It will work. It won't work in the way that it says on the tin, but your four of hearts will show up somewhere.
So how much of this type of thinking is involved in the indicator sets, the suite that you have coming out? The things that we see on the charts
all the time. I know I'm very grandiose. I know I'm very special. But that's all for entertainment, folks. That's all for entertainment. What I care about, the only reason I really care about trading is to be able to get a handle on, to me, it's like the best divination tool. To me, it's like astrology and science and economics and physics all rolled into one in an objective tool. Your P&L for your account is an objective balance. I don't have to worry about my feelings or interpretations. If it went from 0 to 1, it went from 0 to 1. And I love that certainty. But there's this sense of what you're trading is aggregate behavior. Buying and selling from multiple different things within a state, within a context, within a policy, and trying to understand the shape of that is what I find to be the most fascinating. That's why I do any of this, because I want to understand the shape of existence through this lens. So that's what I pay attention to, and that's how I create the indicators a bunch of the indicators from the library are things that people ask for. And then there's my core indicators like the anchor series or the cycle series or what have you, that are my tome series, my holy series, my perfect series. These are all things I've created in order to surface multidimensional thinking within the trading space.
This gives me flavors of when I see people using Fibonacci sequence, and you're like,
Exactly.
like Fibonacci is not just about your chart, it's about how your fingers grow, it's about how plants grow. And
Correct.
if you can see these patterns or this understanding in the universe and the world around you, to think that the charts are separate from that is actually kind of a stupid way of thinking. It's short-sighted. What's happening in the charts are a reflection of all that exists in our world and the universe. And so the more you can understand the principles of the universe, the more you can understand charts.
Well, I've never understood this. It's sort of like how my wife will make a prediction with astrology, and then it'll work. It'll be true. I'd be like, what's happening? And like when you're dealing with a magician, you go, okay, well, there's a trick to this. Like there's a trick to this thing. Just know what the trick is, and then you could either do it or understand it or profit from it. The 3-card Monty of the thing. What's the trick of it? There has to be, if it's working, there's some underlying thing
That's true.
that I'm not. This assumption that I'm not actually taking into consideration. So when you go through technical analysis, actually any of the technical, fundamental, macro level, micro level, whatever it is, and people make predictions on charts, and then it happens. And some people go, well, I draw the line and my trend line, the price is respecting the trend line. And you go, why is the price listening to the trend line? Why should the price ever do that? And you ask people that, and they go, I don't know. It just follows the trend line. You're okay with that answer? You don't see clearly this is hinting at the idea that there's a multidimensional object that is floating through this medium, that the price, which is a representation of an aggregate point of view, is hidden up against, that you're getting the shape of an object that you can't exactly see, and that's what you're drawing? Don't you see that that's what you're doing? That you're defining things that are unseeable from your perspective and making it seeable? You're turning on infrared in order to see the thing? Don't you get that's what you're doing? Don't you want to know? Why doesn't this bother you?
This is
You underestimate my power.
This is not just stellar, it's interstellar.
Exactly. So anyway, it drives me crazy that that when I learned that was the case, I was like, well, I want to know how these are working. Why are these cyclical events? Why does the chart move in sine waves? Okay, it'll go up and then it'll go down. It'll go up and go down. Excuse me, why? Excuse me, why though?
Everything worked that way. That's where you got cycles from, I guess.
I wrote those equations, had nothing to do, or those processes had nothing to do with charts. I dreamt about them, about the cyclical nature of certain things, and then I was compelled to write down these calculations, these formulas, very simple. And I'm not trying to say that I'm brilliant here, even though I am conversing with a higher intelligence. So I don't know what to tell you. Take that for whatever it's worth, but don't worship me.
Why do you always say what you believe?
I probably shouldn't. I should probably just keep them things to myself.
No.
But then once I put those equations out, I was like, hey, this looks like these cycles looks like they're mapping out something. Like there were cycles that were giving me everything from sub millisecond level cycles all the way up to millennia. And then I look at the chart and go, I wonder if I could plot this onto the chart, these cycles onto the chart. And that's what gave me my wave levels. Now I call those wave levels year, month, week, period, shifts, idea, whatever. That's just me trying to fit them to what they seem to be responding to, but they're not actually yearly averages. They're not actually monthly averages. They're not exactly those things. They're a different type of one. And then when I plot those out, I realized, oh, the price is moving according to these, and depending on what state the price is in, or the aggregate behavior of the people with the price, they respond to different levels. And then I realized that if you change the phase of the calculations, you get different things. That one type of phase gives you trend, another one gives you cyclicality, another one gives you volatility. And so if I want to see how far a price can go down if a major volatility shock like COVID happens, I switch to one phase and then it'll tell me how far it can go. But if I want to trade today's intraday level, then I got to switch out to the different phase and then zoom in the chart. And I was like, wow, this is all interesting. And then I make these indicators. So I make indicators in these ways to try to surface or try to instantiate my understanding of what's going on the physical plane as it relates to these charts. You guys haven't even seen us. I've done stuff like I'm going to plot stuff like my wife's Garmin watch, her behavior. Like we were doing technical analysis on weight gain and weight loss. And we could predict when she would gain weight and when she would lose based on just using technical analysis techniques. I was like, wait, can you do that on your bank account? Can you do that on your sleep? Can you do that on whatever? I was like, yeah. Okay, so then there's a mechanism here, sort of like this I Ching mechanism, where charts are just a way of defining aggregate information, trading information, which happens in more states than you might realize, that then have certain types of multidimensional objects that act on it in the same way that it acts on Apple stock. I go, oh, this is all amazing. Anyways,
and
so
that actually makes me think of the fourth turning. I remember when I started reading that, you're like, wait, these people are not. They're just trying to understand generations and how that works, and it turns out it has a significant and material effect on every single aspect of our world today. It's amazing.
If you see yourself, like Jordan Peterson says, as a community of people across time, so there's you all the time, all the way through, then you get to see yourself as the multidimensional object, right? You're a shape of Peter through time. In the same way that I was trying to explain to my son that the tree doesn't see itself like the tree that we see it. We see the tree as this branching out thing because we're observing it from a three-dimensional perspective. But in a sense, the tree only sees its own slice of that moment that it's in. It's not seeing its whole movie in this three-dimensional space. In some other vector, it might be seeing something, but you can imagine that the tree only sees itself as one state. And so it does not recognize its branches and its leaves and its way that it's growing in that way. And so you're also a shape of probabilities through time, and you look like a tree from a different dimension. There's a tree that looks like you. And if you know that, and you know what kind of fruit you provide and what kind of tree you are, then there are certain probabilities that are far more likely, right? Your trunk will behave in a certain way, and the core will behave in a certain way, and branches out in a certain way, and certain things you should not do, and interactions with the environment that you should probably do, and natural symbiosis you would have within different environment, and your roots, how they behave, and all that sort of thing that you're not taking advantage of now. And you should, because you thrive. You'd be appling all over the place. But if you don't know that, then you can be very confused about what's going on. And so to me, I think that the charting software that we have, TradingView and any charting software that actually displays our charts in this pattern, these chart patterns that we're normally used to, is actually not the right way of showing it. That actually, if we were to display this information in the fullness of what it is, we would see what the tree is for Apple stock, what the tree is for Bitcoin stock, and then the movements would become obvious. And all the different moves, the wiggles off the moves would be the leaves and branches in a sense that we would not be confused by. And we would understand the seasonality of it, that the tree grows in certain ways during fall differently than it does during summer. And we wouldn't be confused. And you could cultivate and plant and grow accordingly and have richness that comes from the fruit that it bears. But I don't know, that's just me.
Don't worship me. Well, that's fascinating. I didn't. Father's Day, turned out to be far more spiritual than I expected. You're right.
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord of liquidity. Glory be to the Holy Global Empire and the state, which is our Father.
All right,
Then something just snapped. Something inside of me. I didn't care anymore.
Would you give yourself over to the state? It really, you feel alive, purposeful.
No,
Honestly,
that's the wrong conclusion, Tom. That's the wrong conclusion.
well, other people have to convert people based on belief and faith and scaring them. The only thing we have to do to convert people is give them a lot of money, and they will immediately behave in the way that I'm talking about. You give someone $10 million, you're not seeing them in that soup kitchen no more. Sorry, buddy. Time to serve the steak. Yeah. Yeah. That's it for this week for Sunday Fuel. So fun to see everybody. Look, you guys are my disciples, my acolytes, and I appreciate that. Just always remember that I am only the voice for the Lord of Liquidity. And as accurate as I have been for weeks now, and when you're going to see Bitcoin blast off and get to 150, and we make all this money, I just want you to remember. So you don't want to worship me. I'm just a voice.
I'm just a vessel in velvet shoes.
Bye, guys. Take care. Happy Father's Day.
I only carry